Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, and Ireland are the future of the European continent. With the exception of Russia and a few renegades, these countries are able to have stable economies, some of them quite prosperous, with no colonialism. And I know a lot of people's feelings are still hurt because of my criticism of Western Europe, but I stand by that point. In 2024, the average growth rate for the European Union was 1.12%, the Euro area 0.83. Russia's economy grew by 3.63% because they devoted it primarily to the military, and there's always going to be a GDP boost there. But you'll see the vast majority of these countries that have way above average growth are from Eastern Europe. And keep in mind, Poland is the largest economy in Eastern Europe at about $1 trillion of GDP, and they have 2.96% growth. And I always hear people criticize Poland saying, well, so many people are leaving, the population isn't growing because there just isn't enough opportunity there. That has very little to do with the Polish people and maybe how much of Poland was destroyed by World War II and how much it was subjugated under the USSR. So recently, they've only been free for about 30-40 years. And aside from Ukraine, Poland underwent a systemic execution of their intelligentsia due to the USSR's influence. Despite all that, they still have significant GDP growth. They are most likely the most promising economy in Eastern Europe, and almost every single year, they are the only country that spends more on defense as a percentage of GDP than the United States. The Baltic countries, I'm sorry that I considered that Eastern Europe. You guys are also nailing it when it comes to defense spending on GDP. Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, you're never really lacking. Czech Republic and even Slovakia, you guys are also setting an example that even though you could be a former communist country, if you have the right attitude and right economic standards, you can have a very prosperous nation very quickly, unless your infrastructure was completely gutted and destroyed like Poland and Ukraine was by the USSR and some parts of the Baltic countries, forgive me. Now, Slovakia and Hungary, you guys both have a pro-Russia problem. I get that. And Hungary has an even more systemic pro-Russia problem as a result of Viktor Orban leading this country and having his fingers in so many parts of the distinct Hungarian pie. Belarus, look, Eastern Europe is a big place. The more territory you have, the more can go wrong, and a lot went wrong. I get it. Now on to Scandinavia and Finland. To the people of Denmark, I just want to apologize for the actions of my current president. I did not vote for this guy in any of the elections, so that's 3 times not trying to get him in office, and I have no explanation. I don't know how I could apologize any further for the actions of my foolish countrymen for either voting for this person or thinking that they could not vote in protest and actually have that do anything in this country aside from make things worse. Denmark has more than doubled its GDP spending on defense. They're now at 2.4%. Sweden is nailing it with having some of the best defense contractors in Europe. I mean, they have the Gripen 4.5 generation jet. They've also mastered the Stirling engine, which has produced the Gotland class and the Blekinge class submarines, which have defeated US aircraft carriers in simulations. Finland isn't a major arms producer, but they are a hub for 5G and other high-tech goods. They also produced the most deadly sniper of all time, Simo Häyhä. I know I just butchered his name, but that doesn't discredit what he did to the Soviet army when they invaded in World War II. Pretty sure the Soviets called him the White Death. Eventually, I'm going to make a whole post just about Finland and this guy. It's awesome that both Finland and Sweden have joined NATO since Russia invaded in 2022, which was apparently meant to stop NATO expansion. I guess that backfired. Then, of course, Norway, which is one of the 12 founding members of NATO, and they are an energy powerhouse. It's one of the largest exporters of oil in Europe, yet they barely consume any of it because they've mastered renewables. In fact, they actually export a lot of batteries that are powered by renewables as well. And let's not forget that the entirety of Scandinavia has one of the highest qualities of life in the world. Now Ireland. Ireland is not in NATO. They are in fact a neutral entity. They cooperate with NATO in a partnership for peace. In the Irish defense, I wouldn't want to be an Irish person in the same alliance as the UK if you know the history of what the UK has done to Ireland for several centuries. Ireland will be the first to tell you that just because sometimes the Brits have an alliance with the good guys, it doesn't make them the good guys. They are another high-tech and financial hub with one of the lowest corporate tax rates at 12.5%, so they are the home of a lot of multinational corporations. I'm well aware that a lot of these countries also have their flaws. They are all suffering from a population collapse, but like I said in the beginning of my post, these countries are able to have stable, if not some prosperous economies without having to exploit any other country. And it's these countries, with a few exceptions in Eastern Europe, that have the most room for explosive entrepreneurial growth. I'm the Geo Hussar. We should leave Greenland alone. Please, can we just stop talking about it? And of course, we should keep NATO intact. In fact, bolster it more. Thanks for watching.